Hi, it's Retro Nerd Girl, and I'm broadcasting from the International Science Fiction Space Station. And I recently watched a movie, and it was so much fun. I love this kind of movie. It was The Minotaur, the Wild Beast of Crete, and it was released in 1960. Wow, what a fun movie. I had so much fun watching this. It is an international movie. One of the biggest caveats for this, or the biggest things that you will definitely deal with this, is the dubbing. There's a lot of dubbing, and it doesn't match up at all. And that's expected for this kind of movie at this point in time in history, with a lot of these sword and sandal movies that were done overseas. The detail behind that is that they really never ever recorded actual sound on set. They just took the physical photo of everything, or the physical filming of everything, and then they went to the studio to dub everything in voices fit for whatever language they were sending out these films to. So they did them in different languages. It was a much easier way to do things for them. So for 1960, it was not rated. It was also an hour and 45 minutes. The main character in this is Prince Theseus, which was played by Bob Mathias, playing the Princess Phaedra, and her twin sister Adrienne is Rosanna Schaffarino. She does a great job. Her acting is really interesting. She's really, really good at playing the bad princess. Also, I would say, like, as the film goes along, her acting actually gets better. So in the beginning, her acting is okay, but it gets even better by the end. So it's very interesting to see that development. But as when she plays the evil twin, she's really, really good. So it's really kind of an interesting thing about that particular performer. The other main actor here is Rick Battaglia, and he plays Demetria. And Alberto Lupo plays Chiron. So let's go, and I will describe the story a little bit for you. It's quite interesting and elaborate. First of all, it is based on an actual Greek mythology. It is based upon Theseus and the Minotaur, which is a great story about how Theseus destroyed or vanquished the Minotaur. And in many ways, it's a lot like a David and Goliath story, but it's also, Theseus is definitely a great athlete, and so he has the physical acumen to deal with this monster, if you will, or this creature. In the tale, he is described as the son of Aegeus, the king of Athens, and sometimes he's also described as the son of the god Poseidon. So it is, he has almost godlike powers in many ways in certain stories that you might hear, but also in this particular story, he's just a man, but with a lot of athletic prowess. And that is very, very much shown throughout the story. And for those of you who may not know what a minotaur is a half man, half bull creature. There is a whole Greek story around that particular creature as well. There is a prologue in the story. It says, in this remote epoch when history was merged with legend, it is told that Jove sent a hideous monster called the Minotaur to Crete to punish the inhabitants of the island for an offense against the gods. Periodically, the Cretans offered their young children as sacrifices to the Minotaur, and the victims were thrown into the labyrinth, which was the monster's lair. Very, very scary stuff there. One thing about this story is that they never really show you the monster at the beginning. So you're in wonder, and sort of there's this mystery as to what the monster looks like. You hear his roar, and you may get a glimpse of a very, very hairy hand, but you never really do see his face, which is very smart of them to do, because when you get to finally see him, boy, wait for it. Now, the story begins as a king is trying to find answers to how to save his wife. She's dying, and the only way to really save her at this point, in his mind, and what he believes, and a lot of the people believe, is that he needs to sacrifice someone to the Minotaur. Well, they've been doing that, and that does not work. So lots of people have died just to save his queen. His queen on her deathbed, it says this whole thing with the Minotaur is a bunch of baloney because I gave birth to two children, not just this princess right here. Princess in the middle is Princess Phaedra. I didn't just give birth to one child, I gave birth to twins. And this is where you can find her. She says all of this just before she dies. Now, at this point, Princess Phaedra is like, wait a minute, what? I'm not an only child. There's somebody else who looks just like me, and they can steal my throne. I'm going to be next in line to be in position of power. So there is a bit of mystery here. Who knows? I mean, at this point, we're not sure how the queen got into the situation that she's in. Perhaps she was drugged by someone, we're just saying, who was a little bit antsy to be on the throne. Just saying, I don't know for sure, but that's what it's looking like when I look at the story again. It's quite fascinating because almost immediately, Princess Phaedra manages to drug her father. And so he is incapacitated. She's in power now. And she sends some people to go kill her twin sister. Uh, that's going to make for a very interesting family reunion, I think. she, it's really like quite interesting how they just swarm in there. And oh, here's the smart thing that they did. The people who are attacking this village, they are dressed as bandits. They are soldiers of Crete, but they go in and they attack this village and they make the appearance of bandits, so no one can actually trace it back to the army. A very, very smart move. And I wonder how many times in history has this particular thing been done. It's very easy to do for these guys. And so they go and kill everybody in the village, just looking for one person. All they had to do was send a scout to the village and find the girl and kidnap the girl. How hard is that? Or even trick her there by other means. There are many ways to get people from where they are to other locations, and they really caused a huge ruckus here and cost a lot of lives. And I'm like, listen, you guys are also worried about killing your own people into this labyrinth where you have to sacrifice them to the Minotaur. Maybe I'm really being cruel here, but why not get these people and just use them as your sacrifices to the Minotaur? And so there's a lot of death and destruction at this point for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Haplessly done, but with a, sort of a clumsy hand, in which I thought, wow, this is crazy. But if you're in a time period in which this is supposed to happen or take place in, this kind of stuff would happen all the time. Little villages would get pummeled by bandits and raiding armies. It's really quite interesting to think of, and kind of makes you like kind of happy that that kind of thing doesn't happen in today's time. Well, at least we hope that it remains that way. Knock on wood. Nearby, we have two friends that are hanging out, and they are bonding while they're out hiking or whatever. And it is Theseus and Demetrius. They decide to save as many people as they can and join the fight. And so they go there and they fight with all of the army. And a couple of the bandits say, "Hey, we noticed one of the guys. I think that's Demetrius." And there's this ultimate like stoppage. They were like, "Oh no, they're as strong as gods, these two. Why don't we just leave them and get the heck out of here?" So they abandoned that plan that they had, but all the while watching things very closely. Theseus and Ariadne really like each other almost immediately. So there's something happening between those two. And so Theseus says, "Hey, I am the son of a king. Come to my palace and stay there, and we'll keep you safe." And so that happens. But I don't think at this point Ariadne knows who she is, or why this is all happening. She just thinks it's an accident that just happened. She gets to the palace, and of course, there's a lot of interesting tension between these two. If you look at this set in particular, guys, they put some money into this project. It's not one of those low budget films that they didn't put any money into. This is definitely something that they put some money into. There may have been some missteps along the way, but I think they really, really tried to bring an as authentic of a story as they thought they could in 1960. So kudos on all of the hard work I see behind this in this set here. Meanwhile, the main sister is, so absorbed with her looks and being beautiful, just making sure she's in power. She's a very, very cold person. In fact, there's a part in the story where the guy said that during the sacrifices, she could be seen smiling. She's really evil, an evil chick, an evil chick. And actually, this is the scene where they're poisoning the king, trying to get more power within the castle. And this guy with the blonde hair is Chiron. And he's the henchman, pretty much doing all of the bidding for Phaedra and making everything very, very difficult for the good guys along the way. And the guy in the middle is the king's doctor, and he actually gives him the poison to drink and is really pretty much keeping him very sick so that way Phaedra can rule in his stead. And there is a portion of the film in which we get to see Theseus and Demetrius actually show off a little bit of their prowess. They're competing against each other in sort of like a mini games, and they are throwing discus and throwing javelins, and it's all very authentic feeling in a way. Like I said, for 1960, and the thing that I thought was really cool. There's sort of this like bro love romance, but at the same time, there is a competing nature to their athleticism. So I did love it, and it was fun. It was actually fun. At some point, Chiron drags Demetrius to the side and says, "Hey, the girl that you guys rescued, well, she is a twin sister of Phaedra. You're going to have to kill her. If you don't, we're going to kill your family." He almost does it. Ariane gets up and she's like, what's going on here? Did you just try to kill me? It's really interesting. And you felt his dilemma, not wanting to kill her and not wanting to hurt his friend, but also having the lives of his family on the line here. So I think together they come up with a plan, but somehow Demetrius is arrested and kept in captivity. Theseus actually tries to go in after him to try to help and try to save him and his family. But as soon as Phaedra actually sees him, she's like, "Ooh, I want him. I want this guy." So there's sparks going on for her towards him, but he's not interested in her at all. And before he leaves, he makes his dad promise, "Hey, please protect her as much as you possibly can." And his father agrees, who is the king of Athens. That's something that comes back into play later. Poor Demetrius and his family, they just go through it. His sister first dies, and then he dies. While trying to get away, Theseus gets captured by an underwater goddess who is in love with him and decides that she wants him for herself. She's telling him what's happening on the surface. Athens and Crete goes to war, and Athens gets defeated. And so yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens while Theseus is hanging out with this goddess. He finally asks her, "Please let me get back in there and help these people. Please let me go." And she does. She finally lets him go. So it's a big deal. And I don't have great pictures of the whole battle and everything, but it's pretty terrible. And the Cretians take some Athens people that they've captured to put them into sacrifice that is going on, and it's pretty awful. I mean, look at that beautiful place is on fire in the back. So it's a terrible day for them. Ariande decides that she is going to give herself up And I think it was a good idea because just to stop the bloodshed, but there was so much of it. So many people died. It was so crazy. Where people just died and died and died and died for one person. Where she just decided to give up to save whatever lives that were left. They have Ariande in the dungeons, and her sister Phaedra wants to see her, wants to torture her, wants to make sure that she is no longer beautiful. She is the only one that's beautiful. And it's just such a weird, wild thing about her vanity that they go into detail about. And I suppose the ultimate story for her storyline is about vanity. And yeah, they were about to give her a horrible scar on her face. But Theseus shows up just in the nick of time. And it's really an interesting action sequence that you have to watch because it's actually really good. And he gets there. He manages to save her just before this horrible scarring was going to happen. And instead the hot metal actually gives Phaedra a horrible scar on her face. And then there is a pit with hyenas ready to eat any bones or any leftovers that may be of any prisoners. And she falls right into that pit, and it's like, ooh, just horrible. They don't show you all they're never graphic with it, but you can tell enough about it. It's very intense. Ariande poses as Phaedra. She decides that she wants to see her father, her real father. So she goes to her father, and she's like crying and doing all this stuff, and people are seeing her, and Chiron sees her and says, "Oh, wait a minute. This is for sure not the princess," because he had never seen her cry. And so that was the telltale sign. And he just confronts her and says, "Look, I'm not going to give away your secret. You're totally fine with me as long as you do what I tell you to do, and we'll rule this country together." And so I thought that was very interesting. All this time, Chiron was playing this really loyal person, but he was really trying to work an angle. I believe at this point, Theseus, it was a bargain she made. She made this bargain with Chiron to save Theseus's life, and it was very interesting how this all played out to Chiron's favor. Theseus manages to escape, and in his escape, he got a whole bunch of the army to fight with him. But then he just was like, okay, guess I have to go into the labyrinth and kill the Minotaur to stop this madness with the Minotaur. And so that he does, and a huge battle ensues with the people who were about to be sacrificed, Athenians that were in the throne room, and they're ready to smash, and they are ready to clash, right? And they are doing their thing, and it was great. I was like, oh my goodness. Unfortunately, couldn't get any pictures of that because the video was not the best quality. I'm sure there may be some doctored up versions of this. I hope there are some digital retouching of things, but and the version I had, it was not very well done. So everything was really blurry when it came to the action scenes. But yes, it was a great moment. I felt really great for the Athenians taking over that room, and they did. And Chiron goes down. He's dispatched by them. Ariande goes into the labyrinth following right after Theseus. Really crazy. And so this is the Minotaur that everybody has been afraid of this whole time. It's not the best. Uh, it doesn't even look like a bull. It doesn't even look like a bull. It really was kind of disappointing to see this creature, but it's like an animatronic thing, an interesting creature no less, but did not look anything like a Minotaur. And it did not have the body of a man with the head of a bull at all. It did not have any of that. It was just like a Muppet with terrifying teeth. And it's really kind of I was like, the only thing that really took away from this film at the final stages, I was like, "Ah, snap, guys." But, if you were saying, "Hey, this is a creature from, like, the Dark Crystal or a Muppet that you can use in a story that's not this story," fine. You could do or some strange other monster, absolutely, but it did not look like a Minotaur. Sad, but true. And, they managed together, these guys beat the Minotaur. If Ariande did not show up when she did to I think she just, like, she threw a rock at him or she did something, and she actually helped in the battle, and if it wasn't for her being there, Theseus would be dead. It's really that simple. So she really made a big difference in the battle. So they had to do it together. Really incredible. I was like, this is 1960. They figured it out. They figured it out. And we're still trying to figure it out in 2024. So yeah, they did a wonderful job of making the two of them victorious in this situation. It was wonderful. It's just absolutely wonderful. Love this story. And look at that statue behind them. Incredible, incredible sets, incredible ideas happening here. And if anybody wants to remake this, because it's been remade a few times with the idea in mind of actually recreating Greece of this time. Like, I think it would be a fantastic idea. This was a lot of fun to see. I love Jason and the Argonauts and all those interesting stories. It's made around the same kind of idea, the same kind of special effects. It's not a Harryhausen film though. It's not a Harryhausen film. So it's of course not doesn't have those cool stop motion kind of characters that we would see in a Harryhausen film. They, like I said, I'm going to give them so much props for doing that monster as they did have some animatronics going, and they also had some puppetry going on too. So what a great looking idea. Did they pull it off for the Minotaur? No, but it would have worked for another creature in some other story, for sure. And I give them props for the effort and for doing it. But I also say tweaks could have happened. Tweaks could have happened. So yeah, loved it. It was fantastic. It was wonderful. This is my type of film. Definitely, this is my type of film. And yeah, this is another view of that creature. And yeah, I wish they had gotten that right. It would have been purely epic. Purely epic. Like I said, this is not a bad monster. It's just not the monster suitable for this story. So yes, guys. Oh gosh, like I said, I do love this kind of a story. I love the Greek gods and the mythos and the creatures and the heroes, and I want more of this in our time right now. I really want a lot more of a resurgence of the sword and sandal movies that used to be so popular and used to be so great. Don't know where those stories are, who's working on them, but I hope and I cross my fingers that they will be remade with the special effects that we have now that could only add to a beautiful practical set pieces. Would be just wonderful, absolutely wonderful for a production to have this. And so I'm hoping and I'm crossing my fingers that we get some more sword and sandal movies in our day. Yes, what I do recommend it if you are into sword and sandal movies. I do recommend it if you are into the older production of fantasy films and things to do with magic. And even though there really isn't a whole lot of magic in here, but there's a lot of lore and it has a historic feel to it. It makes you feel like you're in those times quite a bit. And also what the 60s thought those times were, what the 60s thought they were. I do love all of that. Well, guys, without further ado, I bid you adieu, and I will see you in my next review, video, live stream. Who knows? You'll see me on the internet somewhere. So take care, everybody. Bye.